live on your tablet, phone, and the KUTV app. This is 2 News Live.
All right, thanks for joining us here on 2 News Live. I'm Brian Schnee. It is Tuesday, May 28th, and we're going in depth tonight on two big topics. The latest on human remains found in Kane County and the push to bring the Olympics to Salt Lake City. Broad enough. We will go in depth tonight. And as you join us here on the show, we invite you to get involved as well. Use the hashtag 2 News Live, or you can comment live on some of those live streaming platforms, perhaps our YouTube live stream, Facebook Live, any of those if you'd like to weigh in. Going in depth here on 2 News Live, human remains found in remote Kane County are believed to be that of a missing woman from St. George. I spoke with the Kane County Sheriff's Office today and that woman's family yesterday. At the time I spoke with Dallas Jimenez, sister of Courtney Townsend, I was not aware of a crime scene in the area outside of Duck Creek Village where the car she stole was found burned out in November. Follow me here. Stolen vehicle burned out back in November. Here's part of our conversation before we learned of this crime scene last night. I asked about the family searching for Courtney Townsend.
Yeah, every day. Every day. I try to do something that will help me find my sister. I'm determined. I'm gonna find her. It's just that every time we feel like we're getting answers and we might be getting out of this puzzle, we end up hitting a brick wall and then we're back at square one. It's frustrating. They did not do an investigation of the vehicle or the area it was found when the vehicle was reported. So they did not do a search of the area until just recently. The spot that the car was found was an opening, so it didn't have as many trees or anything. It's just an opening. There's just a couple trees exactly where the car was found. And there's no cabins. There are tons of cabins. There's cabins within walking distance. How far down the road?
About a mile.
About a mile down the road? About a mile down the road or so, there's cabins, but once you get up to where the car was found, there's not nobody.
So you can hear some of the frustration in her voice, and we'll get to that in a moment. The family had done a search in this general area back on the 19th of May. The week before, a 2-day search conducted by the Kane County Sheriff's Office. They told me that they covered more than 160 miles of terrain. I reached out to the Kane County Sheriff's Office last night after initially reaching out to them last week, but last night after hearing about a potential crime scene near this location late Monday. I asked why they believe these remains are that of Courtney Townsend after multiple searches in that general area just within the last month.
Just items we found at the scene, personal items, clothing matches, some video description that we have, and those things have helped us to lead us to the conclusion that this is most likely Courtney. We of course can't say definitively that it is until after some further investigation, and the Utah State Medical Examiner's Office will do some work on that to give us final on that.
How close were these items to the area that this car was found back in November?
By straight line, I think it's about 0.6 miles from where the car was. There's a road going down through it, kind of a 2-track ATV type road. And the people were just out riding their ATV that happened to come upon the clothes that were beside the road. Thought they looked a little bit suspicious and were familiar with the case, and so they felt they should maybe report that. And our detectives came up to take a look at that. There was human remains mixed in with the clothing, and so then that led to further investigation of the area around where the clothing was found.
Was this a matter of the snow impacted what your prior work had done? Like, is this an area that you already had looked and it had been covered?
To some extent, yes. We were up here, I think 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, did an extensive search with our search and rescue folks, several dogs, to include dogs out of Iron County Search and Rescue as well. covered a lot of area. Our people did get down in this area, probably within a quarter of a mile of where this clothing was found. Just didn't happen to get down right in the exact area where it was at. People may have been by it other times. I'm not sure if the day that the family came up and searched, they may have been in this area as well. And people may have walked right by this and may not even have noticed. Just for some reason, it struck this lady's interest, and she stopped and took a look at it and thought it was of interest, and it was. So, but like I say, it was just, to the average person, it might not have even raised a red flag. We treat everything like a criminal incident until we can rule otherwise. That's kind of, we started there and work our way down. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. Nothing that we found right now would lead us to believe that it was any kind of foul play. But again, we're still sifting through a lot of evidence and stuff.
So at this point, not believed to be foul play right now, but I asked more about the search and what was done early on. Remember, the burned out car was found on November 19th. She was reported missing on the 16th. The car not far from where those remains were located yesterday.
We know, from our conversations with them, from their posts on Facebook, we've been able to see their frustration with the process, frustration with having her gone and not knowing where she's at. I can't imagine having a family member, gone for 6 months, let alone years and years and years, and maybe never finding them ever. And so we're sensitive of their frustration that they've had, maybe even with us at times, but we just the way the case laid out in the beginning, and the timeline, and then the storms coming in on us, and just not being able to search until we could get, some clearing, which ended up, being May of this year, before we felt like we could get in and not be trudging through the mud, being able to have enough snow gone to actually do a good search. And so that was frustrating to us as well, holding on to this for so long, trying to find Heather. Our detectives have worked with the St. George Police Department detectives quite a bit on this, talking about what are some other angles we could do, who are some other people we can talk to, who were her associates. They've tried to work this in the background the best they could while we were waiting for an opportunity to then be able to get up and actually do a ground search, and see what we could find.
Was that not possible back in November when the car was there?
Well, again, it's hard on that. People would probably think, well, you got a car sitting there, you should just go out and start searching. But we didn't have 100%, what the picture was. We were able to trace down that the car had been reported stolen, start working with St. George Police and the family at that point. But they didn't really report her missing until the end of December. And so then by then, then we had quite a bit of snow on the ground at that November time. And, if you look at the pictures of the day that our deputy went up, it had snowed. So there was no footprints to try and track, anything like that, was under the snow. And then we just didn't have a good chance after that, because of the weather, to go up and try and do a big search, and see what we could have found.
So still waiting on the medical examiner's determination to exactly confirm that these remains belong to Courtney Townsend, but they believe that to be the case given the location, the proximity, the burned out vehicle, the evidence, the items found, you name it. This story's been trending all day since we put it up there this afternoon. Go on to our website right now, KUTV.com. Check it out for yourself. Going in depth tonight on the Olympics movement here in Utah. Always a fun time. 2034 is a decade away, right? But in just a few weeks, there's the potential that Utah is announced as the official host of the 2034 Winter Games during the Paris Games this summer. That's when the announcement would come. Today, the Salt Lake, Utah Committee for the Games presented to the World Olympics Federations. Here's what that means.
This is a technical review, and they're looking at our master plan. And our master plan is very strong because we have compact games. All the venues are close to each other, whereas in many of the winter games are spread all over. We're close together, number one. Number two, they're all here. They're all in place. We have them all under contract. And that is very compelling. The foundation of any games is having all the venues ready to go and at an exceptional world-class level.
Was there any feedback given to members of the committee from the other side?
Yeah, well, it was just very positive overall. We've been partners with these people for 20 years. Many of them were here in '02, many familiar faces, and the overall reaction was good.
Where does the potential for a revamped Delta Center and revitalized area fit into the mix for what you're hoping for with the games in 2034?
Well, the good thing is about our plan today is it works with everything we have today. The Delta Center as is, as downtown as is, and really all of our venues. But what we see are all these initiatives that are coming forward to be able to take us to the next level in some of these areas. If we have more seating at the Delta Center, that's fantastic. If we have a revitalized downtown, what a celebration site that would be. So we're very excited about benefiting from all of those wonderful potential changes or developments down the road.
How vital was today's conversation as it pertains to every other conversation you're having about this for years to come?
Well, it was one of our last 3 remaining steps, and very important because these Winter Olympic federations govern the world of sport throughout the world for winter games. And so having their sign off, having their input, having their approval is very, very important. So they'll go back after our report today, make their recommendation to the IOC Executive Board.
All right, to stay up to date on the effort to bring the games to Utah, it's obviously a very good chance right now because we're the only ones in the running, by the way. But it doesn't mean things can't get derailed. We hope things stay on track here to bring the 2034 Winter Games back to Utah. Read all of our past stories. We've got a lot of them on this on our website, KUTV.com. So Frazier and I spoke for a few minutes today. Trent, I had to ask him about the Delta Center. I had to ask him about the downtown plans because I'm curious to see what that does for the future, because say Block 85, which is the location where they're holding the Big Air and the medals, say that's developed in 10 years. Right. So where do things go? I'm just curious how this is all going to pan out in a decade from now, because it's going to fly by.
And we're going to have
I'm going to be 42.
A lot more information once we get towards July, both on the whole downtown revitalization and the whole Olympics thing. So kind of exciting next couple of months here in Salt Lake City. Kind of an exciting
steamy
day.
outside.
Kind of steamy, except for we don't have the humidity, so I wouldn't quite call it steamy. But
it's not very New England of us.
It's more scorching than steamy, really. 87 today so far, but we've gotten our temperatures back up close to 87 just within the last couple of minutes. So we could actually hit 88, maybe 89 degrees before the sun goes down. Of course, nowhere near a record, which we saw about 21 years ago back in 2003. It can get really hot this time of year, though. Let's go ahead and get to that forecast. No 99s on the 7+2 here in Salt Lake City quite yet, but we do have some 100-degree temperatures down there in St. George on the pretty near future. So a couple scattered showers up in the mountains right now, none of which are producing a whole lot of rain. We're just seeing a couple light drizzly spots out there, a couple rumbles of thunder as well. Some of these showers towards southwest Wyoming are particularly strong right there towards Evanston. A couple of these showers moving towards Flaming Gorge over the last hour or so, producing a little bit of light rain, but really all the action's down here in central Utah, where we've got those showers up in the mountains just to the south of I-70. A couple spot showers there on the interstate as you head up and over the mountaintops, and a stronger storm there on I-15 just to the south of Nephi toward Yuba Lake. This is I-15 right now in Juab County. You can see those wet roads, but we've got some clearing skies. So these storms, they don't linger for that long. It's tough to really keep their steam going more than about 30 minutes, and then they really start to fall apart. Cold front races through tomorrow afternoon. That could produce more scattered showers here across northern and central Utah. In fact, it will be our best chance for precipitation out of the next 7+2 days. Otherwise, we're staying very dry heading into the rest of the weekend, into the weekend as well. Austin is in town on Saturday. Their football club is ready to take on RSL, the #1 team in the West, right? 84 degrees for the start of the game, dropping it down to 80 for the half and 70s as you're walking out. So still very, very comfortable even at 10 o'clock on Saturday night. And that's because we've got some really hot temperatures really all throughout the next couple of days here. High pressure will start to gain strength once we get this weak little disturbance here through the weekend. Again, it's not going to impact those temperatures a whole lot, especially for Saturday. Maybe a little bit cooler on Sunday as we get a little bit of that northwest flow in here. But by the time we get to the middle and late part of next week, we really get this huge dome of high pressure really across the entire west coast and portions of the central U.S. also getting in on that heat as well. So the 6 to 10 day outlook features a very high likelihood of those above normal temperatures across pretty much the 2/3 of the western United States, and also up there towards New England as well, getting in on that heat. St. George, 90s for the next couple of days, breezy at times as well, sunshine with a couple of clouds on Friday, clear through the weekend. 98 is where we're going to top out on Saturday, 99 by Monday, 101 Tuesday, 102 Wednesday, and potentially 104 next Thursday, and that heat is really going to stay there until Friday as well. Here in Salt Lake City, showers and thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon through the early evening, breezy at times, a little bit cooler than especially what we saw today. 72 for Thursday, that's about 5 degrees cooler than normal, and then we're back into the upper 80s Saturday, a little bit cooler on Sunday, 90 there for next Thursday. So the heat, it's not going to go away anytime soon, and we are still tracking the melt. Of course, our statewide average is down to about 3 inches of snow water equivalent, which means we still have a little bit more snow to melt. 184% of normal for the date, and this is what it looks like region by region. We're starting to lose a lot of our data here for portions of the state of Utah. Yeah,
That's like the typo that you see in the forecast.
I know,
where it's like 520 degrees. You're like, wait a minute.
Isn't that interesting?
What is that?
Yeah, well, the thing is, once we get towards
beautiful.
this time of year, the average starts to become so close to zero that anything above that is going to come out to be some kind of insane number,
Balloon.
like 520%.
Okay. Clickbait on our website if you put that
Yes,
up there. as a headline.
520% in the Raft River Mountains. Great skiing.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Trent. Remember to download our 2 News weather app to know about your changes in your area. Maybe that number changes quite a bit here if you check out the app. Get updated forecasts, live radar right on your phone. The app is free to download. Very interested to see how the snowmelt situation plays out. I was talking to Lieutenant Aldridge today from Kane County. This time last year, we were wrapping up flash flooding coverage where people did not make it from said flash floods.
Right.
And that was the last time we had done a number of pieces together, working together, and this was a different scenario. So I said, remember this time last year, we were talking more flash flooding than we are not right now, and that was big in southern Utah last year.
Yeah, and it seems like we've kind of escaped the worst of the flooding as far as the snowmelt goes for this year, but we are also waiting on monsoon season. That starts up in the middle of the summer, and we're also getting a couple hints that we might see a little bit of a taste of that monsoon at the end of the first week of June, so we're tracking that as well.
Okay, we'll see how that all shakes out. Thanks for watching 2 News Live with us. If you're thinking about heading outside after just seeing what the temperature is, I might do the same
Go
thing.
swimming.
Yeah, get on out there. Wear the floaties if you can't float. Take a swimming lesson. We talked about that last week. Have a great night. We will see you tomorrow for more 2 News Live.